Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the First Draft Podcast. My name is Rabia Molaya. I am your host, and this is our very first episode of the spring 2022 semester. And I have some really awesome special guests here with me. We have Hope and Ola, who are brand new campus editors with the Collegian.
Yay! I'm excited to be on.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself to you guys.
Yeah, so like Rabia said, I'm new on the Collegian. And and my name is Hope. I'm excited to be on the podcast. It's my first time doing this, so I'm excited to see what we're going to talk about. Just kind of getting into like a flow of conversation. So.
Okay, my name is Ola Mokhtar. I'm the Southeast Campus editor, and I'm also part of other organizations, but I'm not going to bore y'all with that information. I've been writing for a long time, but this is the first time that I'm on a podcast, so I'm excited to see where this goes. This is my first time on a podcast, but I've been writing for a long time, so yeah.
So I know that this is your first year in college, Hope. Ola, is it your first year in college as well?
No, it's my second time.
Your second year. Okay, so that's cool because it's my third year. So we got a pretty cool range of, I would say, experiences so far. So you just got out of high school, Hope. What has it been like for you adjusting to college life and, going from that transition, especially because you graduated after COVID?
Yeah. So this experience... I wouldn't say it was hard. It wasn't easy. I think part of it was just all of my friends. These are people I just met. I moved here, so these are all people that I got to know for about a year, and then all of them just like move out of the state. My best friend, she goes to OU now, so for me, it's just been adjusting, just learning how to kind of go about my own life without always seeing these people like in the mornings or in classes, But it's been enjoyable just kind of being able to do things on my own time. I think that's something really great here on campus and just at TCC in general is the fact that, like, for me, I'm able to work and go to school and be able to, like, find myself as I'm, like, growing into adulthood, Like, I have the time to do that.
I know, I totally feel you. Like, this is such an interesting place to be in life when you're just transitioning from, like, school where, like, you're on such a structured schedule that somebody else made versus getting into college and making your own schedule and sort of living your life kind of as an adult, but kind of not because you're still, like, I'm assuming you still live at home with your parents?
Yes.
Yeah, so still living at home and, having to deal with that sort of weird balance, especially with, I feel like parents, it gets kind of interesting when you're in this stage because they kind of still feel like you're a kid and you're little, but you're getting into that stage where you're like, all right, I want to grow up. Like, I want to be able to go out and do my own thing and run on my own schedule. So I feel like that's something that I personally really did struggle with my first year of college was being able to have that conversation and, like, figure out that balance between me and my parents and just life in general.
Okay, so for me, what's the question, how did we transition?
Kind of just, like, whether or not you felt the same way. Did you kind of go through the same experience when you were leaving high school, or how has it been for you kind of adjusting to college life?
College, it was really scary for me because whenever, it was senior year and people are getting ready to apply to other colleges and universities, I didn't apply to any of them because I was so scared. I was so scared of the concept of college. Like, I watched a lot of college movies and high school movies and people who are seniors that, transition into college life. I was just really scared. So I didn't apply to any universities. I had just had my mind set on going to a community college, which was TCC. And yeah, I just had my mind dead set on doing something a little closer, a little more comfortable. So whenever I got here, it wasn't that bad. I did not know of Rate My Professors, so that...
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was, I just picked whoever because in high school, you don't really get to pick who your teachers are. So I was like, okay, I'll just take this person. And I did not even ask anyone. I didn't do rate my professors. So it was just really hard because I was on my own. And I do have a sister that goes here, but it was just, she already had gone to college. Mm-hmm. She's already doing her own stuff. She's already busy. So it was hard for me.
You're just coming in swinging.
Yep. I was just like, oh, okay.
No rate my, no nothing.
Yeah.
You kind of had to figure it out all on your own. Oh my God, I cannot imagine what that must have been like.
It was really hard. I joined a couple of organizations where I became like an officer in, and that helped a little. Like I have gained a couple of friends that I'm still, in touch with, but it was overall really hard for me.
Dang.
I can understand that. Mm-hmm. I feel like for me, I started college 2020. So I was part of the class of 2020 when I was graduating high school. So my college experience began completely online. So for the first, I would say 1.5 years of college, I kind of was just working primarily. I was working a retail job. I was doing 60 hours a week at that point because I was just like, well, I have nothing better to do, so I might as well do this. And I was doing all online classes. And I'm going to be honest, that for me, I loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I could do my school at my own pace. I could do that has always been my thing. Even when I was younger, I remember the only thing I ever got in trouble for in school was being tardy. And so at some point they started giving me ISS for being tardy, which can we just talk about how the punishment for being late to class is not getting to go to class? How does that make sense? Anyways,
it doesn't.
I know, I digress. But I loved ISS because I was able to just receive all the work. Your deadline is 3 p.m. at the end of this day. Perfect. I will do it at my pace, and that'll be great. So when the transition happened from online school to in-person school, I was stressed. Because I was like, I still want to keep my, my retail job. And I'd like to point out, we go to school in Hearst, North Richland Hills. I worked in Arlington at that point next to the UTA campus. So every single day I would leave class. I would immediately run home, which is 15 minutes away from school. And then I would just eat really fast. And then I would run to work. Mm-hmm. So I did that for a good year, and then I was just like, all right, I gotta buckle down and just try and enjoy my college experience a little bit. But I feel like it was I'm not gonna say that it was a weird experience to have, but it definitely was not the normal college experience that you think of in your head. Right. But I feel like just going to TCC, you meet so many different students who all have such different perspectives and views on college and the college experience. I feel like nobody here has that typical partying college experience that you kind of hear about or see about in movies.
Not available here at TCC. It's not here.
That's something I've loved, though, just because of, the variety. You never hear the same story. It's always something different, Yeah.
I love that. It makes me so happy meeting different people in all my classes because, there are people here who have had full-blown careers for, 20, 25 years, and now they're coming back to try and do something new. There are people who are, like us, who are trying to finish up their basics and just, transfer to a different university, whatever it may be. But I feel like TCC has such an interesting blend of students and, activities and, like you said, the different opportunities with, extracurriculars. Mm-hmm. And it creates an environment that makes you want to be here more, at least in my experience. And that's one of the reasons why I loved joining the Collegian, because it gave me an opportunity to be able to see what happens on all the other campuses and really explore all of everything that Tarrant County has to offer. Because I feel like it's one of those schools that not a lot of people know has much going on. Mm-hmm. But working for the paper, I feel like for us, there's always something going on. Yeah. There's always an event happening or something that we're covering. So how's that been for you guys? Adding on the responsibility of working at the paper along with classes and other extracurriculars and everything like that.
It's been fun. I really like just going out and being in these events and telling that story. and along, like, just meeting people, there was a woman that I met on my first story. We covered a Wonder Woman documentary, and I talked to her for about a good 30 minutes, just about, like, her life and her story. And, like, it's just people, when they want to talk to you, they want to open up. So I've learned a lot about these people, and I'm only, like, just beginning, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's always nice for opportunity.
Yeah.
For me, I've always had... Okay, so I'm kind of a procrastinator, just a little bit. Okay, so, like, if something is due on October 29th, I'll do it October 28th. So it's not that bad. I won't wait till, like, the absolute last minute, but I will wait until I can't anymore. So for the newspaper, and also in yearbook when I was in high school, I was in yearbook.
Me too.
Yeah, it was really cool. Mm-hmm. It's pretty similar because there are deadlines, and I kind of had to adjust to not doing that anymore. So instead of doing it on the 28th, I would just plan it day by day. So for this day, I'll interview, and then the next day, I'll transcribe and write the structure or how I want the quotes to like flow. And then it was just really nice going out and venturing out on my own, because not only do you meet new people, but I'm really introverted and I'm sometimes socially awkward. So I had to overcome that, and I did a little bit in high school, but COVID happened. So I had to do it a lot during my time here, even though I'm really new to the Collegian. But yeah, it's been, I really like it. So it's really close to yearbook, but newspaper, I don't want to say it's my favorite, just in case my yearbook advisor somehow hears this.
Because it's not like that.
Yeah, it's not like that. I still love yearbook, but newspaper is really cool. I really like it.
You know, I am definitely the same way, where I can get really comfortable in, you know, my little square of, you know, I don't want to leave. I just want to do the same things all the time, and I don't want to go out and venture and try and have new experiences. But I think one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever been given in my life is to take calculated, safe risks.
Oh, yeah.
Like, doing small things in an environment that you feel like you still have, like, semi-control over, but still slightly out of your comfort zone is so healthy. And I think so important, especially at this stage in life, and especially in the world that we're living in, where, you know, it's still post-COVID, like, people are still trying to recover from everything that happened. A lot of people have gotten into this, you know, antisocial kind of mode just out of, like, self-preservation, which I completely understand, because Lord knows I kind of walk around and I'm just like, okay, sanitizing wipes, do I have a mask in my bag? Like, do I have everything that I need just in case? But, you know, we can't always live life in that little bubble of safety and of, you know, this is exactly how I want everything to go all the time.
Right.
So I feel like that's one of the great things where I'm really happy you joined the Collegian, because it gives you an opportunity to, okay, I'm going to drive, you know, 10, 15 miles somewhere that I haven't exactly been to yet, and I'm going to go cover an event. But you still have that, you know, safety in the back of your mind that's like, okay, it's still my college. You know, even if it's not my campus, it's my college. And that's one of the things that really helped get me back into that mode of, okay, you know, we're going to try new things. We're going to go meet new people, and, you know, doing interviews and stuff, especially, it gets you back into that mode of, okay, like, I can do this. I can talk to people, like, I can have a conversation, and it's going to work out, and it's going to be fine.
Right.
You know, I feel like we get into our heads a lot of the time about doing this job, where we're like, oh my God, how am I supposed to walk up to this person? How am I supposed to ask these questions? Oh my God, I don't know. I'm awkward. I'm weird. Everybody is awkward and weird.
Yeah.
Like, everybody.
To some degree, at least.
Exactly.
Being weird it's subjective, because everybody has different definitions, but you're a little weird. Okay, everyone is.
Weird in an odd way, weird in a good way. Like, there's always some way to be weird.
I mean, I'm more interested in what the definition of normal is supposed to be. Like, there are all these things that I feel like we've deemed weird. But the more that you talk about it, I feel like the more people are like, oh yeah, I do that. Or yeah, I mean, I've done that before. I just want to know where we get this idea of normal from.
Yeah.
Like what constitutes as, yeah, that's like a normal person.
I wonder if normal is like looking at yourself and then looking at everything beyond that and assuming, okay, I do this, but that can't be normal. Because you mentioned, then people start to realize, I do this, so do you, you know? Suddenly all those weird traits are suddenly, like, normal, you know? I think maybe that comes from a place of, like, I don't want to say self-esteem, you know, but just looking outwards, you know?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So the word normal, I don't understand why the word exists. Because, like, what is normal, right? But I just feel like a lot of people deem some stuff normal because everybody around them is saying, oh, that's normal, when in reality you think that's kind of weird. So people just say it's normal because, I mean, everybody else says it is, and you're afraid of being the odd one out. And it's really scary being the odd one out. You just don't want to be that. I mean, there's comfort in numbers. There's safety in numbers. So a lot of people just say normal because it's safe. But also, like what you said, the calculated safe risk thing. I mean, you kind of have to do that sometimes. You can't always be in your bubble. So.
You know, it's interesting, though, that there's that line of you're an outlier, and then there's, yeah, you're part of the herd, and then there's, oh, this is cliche. Too many people like this. Too many people do this.
Yeah.
You can't. And then it's just, oh, you're basic.
Like, come on.
It's almost as if, like, you can just never win. Which I feel like is such a hard lesson to learn in, like, your teens. Because I think, I mean, you guys let me know if you didn't feel this way. But I think when you're growing up and, like, you're in that, like, teenager stage where, like, things are changing, like, hormones are setting in, everything is just weird. And then you're just like, all I want to do is fit in.
Yeah.
And no matter what you do, there's some little part of you that just doesn't agree with someone else. And it's like, it's like a pin. It just irks and it irks. And my Lord, if I could go back in time and, like, look at my 16-year-old self and just be like, you're fine. You're going to be fine.
Like, I promise you, it's not that big of a deal.
It isn't, you know.
It's really weird. Because I remember, so I spent half of my childhood in America, but the other half I spent in my home country, Sudan. And so it was really weird because there was a little bit of a culture shock, even though I remembered what America was. And so it's just really...
Different. Yeah.
It's just weird. Like, I remember...
It's like those little things, you know?
Yeah.
Like the things that you deem normal in one place are just not in the other.
It's just super weird because, one, I had to transition. Two, I had to make new friends, which I had no idea how to do. Because when you're in high school, everybody already formed their relationships.
Yeah. Most of the time, they've grown up with each other already. So it's like, now I'm going to fit myself into this somehow. You know?
They're nice and all, but, like, they're like, I don't really know you.
Yeah.
And so when you're different, it's just kind of like you think something's wrong when in reality, I promise you, there's nothing wrong. It's just the way things are sometimes.
Yeah. I think so. Did you grow up around, like, in the U.S., did you have, like, a large Sudanese community around you?
Yes. So there's, like, 3 different Sudanese families in my neighborhood alone.
Okay.
And then there was a mosque full of Sudanese people. Gotcha. Like, almost everyone was Sudanese. Of course, there's, like, a few Arab people here and there, but the majority of them were Sudanese, and there's a lot of them, but the kids were still American because we grew up here, and there was, like, a disconnect almost between us and the parents because they're like, I know by blood you are, but whenever you go to school, it's completely different. And it was just a little
that feeling
weird.
of, like, yes, I am, you know, from my home country, but I'm also American. Like, how do I balance this out?
There's no balance.
Yeah.
There's literally there's none because, like, you come here or you either immigrate from a really young age or you're born here, like me and other people, and the parents kind of like, they're like, you're not American. You're not American. Like, I know you sound...
My God, my parents say that all the time. They're like, yeah, I mean, you grew up here, but you're Pakistani. Like, at the end of the day, you're Pakistani.
Yeah, it's really eye-opening, because you see different people, and you're like, why am I so different? And you think something's wrong, but in reality, it's just you're that way because of your experiences. Yeah. That's literally it. And so I thought there was something wrong, but in reality, I would go back to my 16 and 17 and even 18-year-old self and tell myself, it's okay. It's 100% okay. So
I think one of the things that's so important to learn when you grow up with, like immigrant parents is that you have to choose your own path, and you have to choose how connected you want to be to both sides of yourself. Because at the same time that you're Sudanese, or at the same time that I'm Pakistani, we're also Americans. We also, grew up here. Like, having this conversation with yourself, I think, is really important, where you're like, yes, these things can coexist at the same time. I can be living multiple realities at the same time. I can still love, American food and the experience that I have in this country and going to school here and being able to be friends with, American people. But I can also love my culture and my country and be proud of where I come from. Like, those things don't have to exist separately. Like, they can coexist at the same time. And I think one thing that, one experience that really varied from me to you is I didn't grow up with a Pakistani community, like, at all. So in my neck of the woods is a lot of Sudanese people and is a lot of Arab people. Let me tell you, I love Sudanese people so much.
I was about to say, how did you know that I was? Because I don't remember telling you. Did you just guess?
No, you just said that you grew up in Sudan.
Yeah. She put a background check on you.
Yeah, I totally, Google you and, figured out when you got to America.
No, Google front page, actually.
But some of my brother's best friends are Sudanese. And so I was able to grow up seeing a lot of the Sudanese and a lot of the Arab culture, because that's, most of the people at my mosque. And growing up without Pakistani people, I think when I was younger, I didn't mind as much, because my experience with Pakistani people, or just I'm not going to lie, with Muslim people in general, was not very positive growing up. So for a good chunk of my teen years, I was like, I don't want it. I don't really care. My brothers have a very, very tight-knit group of guys who are all, from the same mosque. They, like you said, they all grew up together. So these guys have known each other for, 10, 12 years at this point. So they're super, super close. And I didn't get that experience, I don't have, mosque friends or, Muslim friends who I can, go back and relate to. And I think that hit me a lot harder as an adult. When I got into college and I looked around and I was like, all right, there's nobody that I have, a shared experience with, Yeah. Because there are certain things that I choose not to do or that I just plain can't do because I'm a Muslim. And, everybody has certain boundaries and restrictions in their lives. And I feel like when people hear the word Muslim, or when they find out, or, I wear a hijab, so when they see that I'm Muslim, they automatically assume that I do it not willingly.
Oh, God.
Instead of just being like, oh, okay, this is a boundary you have in your life, let's go ahead and leave that alone. They're like, nah, I'm going to poke and poke and poke and ask you why.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying.
It is so annoying. So, growing up and having a connection to people who can have a shared experience as you, I think is great. But if you grow up without that, learning to accept that that is okay and there's nothing wrong with you for that is also just as important. Because as much as I feel like growing up with people who can share an experience with you and a culture with you can be great, I'm sure it comes with its own problems and its own, issues of what is the balance.
That is a whole different story. That is a whole different... There's, subjects and sub-subjects, and it's complicated. Yeah. And I'm not going to go through it today. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it's pretty complicated, and a lot of them are, like, toxic. They're so toxic.
Yeah.
It's just, like, how are you this toxic? Like, oh, what happened to you, right?
Yeah.
It's
What
like,
happened to you?
didn't we grow up together? How about y'all? Did y'all have any toxic people?
I moved a lot as a kid, so, like, if I knew someone and, like, I was like, oh, wait, you're kind of, like, not a great person, I'd move, you know? Like, I'm Nevada, California, Florida, Michigan, and now here, so.
Were you a military brat?
At first it was military. After that, it was just, like, there's better opportunity here, you know?
Nice.
But, yeah.
I'm sure that probably was hard, too, moving school to school to school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It definitely gives a good perspective. Like, I know so many people from different states. I have, like, a good set of friends in Michigan and here, you know? So I think it really taught me adaptability above all. So when I came to TCC, I was like, I'm ready. You know, like, I know what to do, you know?
Oh, that's great. But I totally feel you on the toxicity front. Like, I went through that heavily where I had to just take a step back from, like, my community, which was really sad.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, on like a personal level, I feel like it hit me really hard at the time because I was really young, and having to be like, all right, like, this is not good for my mental health. This is not good for the way that I want to go about living my life. So I'm going to take a step back. Like, I'm going to go ahead and distance myself and see what else is out there. And I think that's one of the things that, like, you know, is, like you said, Hope, adaptability, being able to adjust in different situations, even if they're slightly uncomfortable, you know. Being able to sit with discomfort is a learned trait that is hard to master, but really important to have.
So hard.
Yeah. Like, you know, that nobody likes that feeling of, oh, I'm the new person, or, oh, I have to make a whole new set of friends, or I don't like the situation I was in, but I don't really want to leave because it's out of my comfort zone. But figuring out how to do that and how to be able to, like, sit down with yourself and be like, it's okay. It's okay to not always feel 100% is, like, the hardest thing to learn when you're young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was younger, there's, like, a lot of things that me and, like, other people are, like, we just feel differently about. So even though, like, we share the same ethnicity or the same race or the same religion, we still feel differently about it. And so when I say I feel differently, they look at me like there's something wrong, because in their opinion, and I feel like I feel like this could be, like, more of a world view type of perspective, but, like, in their perspective, there's something clearly wrong with you. And you have to sit there, and especially if you have low self-esteem, you have to sit there and you're like,
Oops.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you have to apologize.
Oh, my God,
and you have to sit there and you're uncomfortable, but you have to sit there and smile. You don't have to, but you're...
It's just, like, your reaction.
Yeah.
You're just kind of, like, you sit there and you like, paint on a smile, even though that's not really what you're feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Inside.
Oh, I had an experience when I was in high school where, so I feel like I dressed on a medium level of modesty. You know, I'm always covered from, like, my, you know, my wrists to my ankles, but I wear more fitted clothing. I don't necessarily, like, I don't wear skirts. I always wear pants. Like, that's just my personal balance of it.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do. I remember one time in high school, I was at a competition, and there was a group of students from a all-Islamic private school who came in, and I went to greet them because I, at the time, was running this event.
Yeah.
And so I went to greet them and, you know, make sure they knew where they were going, and they were so snooty towards me. They were so rude, and I was like, you know what? It's fine. I'm just going to leave it alone. I go on with the rest of my day. At the end of the day, we're getting ready for awards, and during our award ceremonies, they would always play a bunch of music, and everybody would do line dances and, like, have a great old time before we started awards. So I'm there, I'm hanging out with my friends, we're dancing, we're having a great time, and one of the advisors from this Islamic school pulls me aside, and she goes, how would your parents feel if they saw you dancing right now in front of all these people? And I very calmly had to look at this woman and be like, my mom is 20 feet across the room.
Yeah, like
Like,
party foul.
my mom is right there, and she has no issues with it. Now, I'm not going to go and say that I make all the right decisions or that I'm like a perfect Muslim. Absolutely not.
No one is.
I make my set of mistakes and I make my set of decisions on the balance that I want to have between religion and like everything, or like worldly values, I guess you could say. But that's my decision, and that has nothing to do with anyone else besides me and God.
Yeah.
So to constantly deal with that criticism from other people, it's so annoying. And to have to approach it in a polite way, because I'm not going to be mean. I'm not going to go and stoop to your level and be just as rude to you as you were to me. Because, like, that's not what I want to do, you know? Yeah. But I will say there's a difference between being polite and being, you know, just submissive and, oh, I'm just going to take it. Like, no. I definitely used to be that way, where I would just be like, oh, you know, I'm so sorry. I totally understand. Like, no. I'm at the place now in life where if somebody has a problem with what I'm doing, if you want to approach me in a nice way and like let's have a conversation about it, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm always open to that. I'm always open to improvement as a human being, because I understand that I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to improve until the day that I die. And if I don't do that, then my experience is not fair to myself. But if you want to come at me in a judgmental tone, up on your high horse, playing holier than thou, oh, baby, I will hand it to you so hard. Because I don't play that game. I don't judge anybody else for a very specific reason, because, what is that saying? Those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw the first stone, something like that. Yeah, no. We all make mistakes. We all make decisions that aren't 100% correct. And it's not up to me or you or anybody else to judge those decisions. And, like, I'm so sorry that you went through that and you had that experience, because it's just not fair. And especially, like, growing up, if you're a more introverted, timid person, I can absolutely see how that can shut you off and be like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, because, like, here's the thing. Not only was I introverted and shy, you look at me and I'm fully clothed. So you just kind of assume. And it may or may not be your fault based on where you have grown up, your values, your parents, the people around you, but it's kind of like they have already made this assumption, even though they've never spoken to you.
Yeah.
They've never spoken to you. It's like, how do you make a decision about who I am and what I think about when you haven't even said hello to me? It's like people already, it's kind of, it's kind of a touchy subject, but whenever I was younger and I didn't wear a scarf, people used to treat me like more of a human. It's like they look at you and they automatically assume what you are. No hello, no, hey, what do you think of X subject? It's like, oh, you already think this, and this because whatever reason.
Yeah. And
it's like, okay, and that shut me off even more. What about you, Hope?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really had those experiences. I'm extroverted, you know. I love to talk to people and hang around them. I don't say I, like, get more energy from it, you know, but I don't know. I think just hearing your experience, though, like, that's heartbreaking, you know? Like, that's terrible.
Yeah. It's sad to say that those things really, like, tend to affect your relationship with yourself and, like, your opinions. Like, I totally get where you're coming from when it comes to the way that people treat you after you wear a hijab, or, like, once they notice that you're a hijab, you know, when they first meet you. It's one of those things that is so hard to just be comfortable within yourself again, because then you're just like, man, am I doing the right thing? Am I going about this the right way? Like, Oh, it's one of those really hard ones.
You doubt yourself, and you act like everybody else has the facts, even though you probably know yourself better than all of these other people, because they haven't even struck up a conversation with you, or it just hasn't happened, vice versa. So you sit there and you're like, oh, okay. And that happened throughout high school. So I came back from Sudan when I was 14, so I was right in time for freshman year. And it's like they already made up their minds, and you just don't have either the courage or just the energy or the care in the world to do something that proves them wrong. It's just exhausting. That's gotta be. I'm like, I it's almost like I don't care, but I care.
Yeah.
It's just slightly annoying.
You know, as hard as it is, and it's so much easier said than done, the best thing that you can do for yourself in that situation is just look in the mirror and be like, what do I want? If these voices weren't there, if this opinion wasn't there, and it was just me, what do I want to do? Do I want to dress this way? Do I want to be wearing a hijab? Do I want to be, partaking in these activities? What do I genuinely want? And it'll take that one moment of clarity to come where you just kind of look at yourself and you're like, this relationship here of me, myself, and I, that is the only thing that lasts forever in your life. Because people come and go, unfortunately, like, relationships come and go, but you're stuck with you for the rest of your life. So the voice in your head and the voice inside your heart is the only one that really matters, and the only one that you really need to listen to, which is so incredibly hard to hear sometimes over the noise of everybody else.
Yeah, because not only do they think that, now you think that of yourself, and you have to, like, repair your own relationship. And even though you're hearing banging on the door or these voices that people, they just come and say stuff about you, or they just assume stuff about you. So you have to do that in the midst of all of that chaos.
And that's not easy, having to repair that relationship, like you said.
It's really hard, but not only that, but especially when it comes from your own family, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, you go to school and you face that. You have to go home and to do that too. Like, yeah, a lot of times parents don't. I think this goes for everyone. Parents sometimes, they don't try to understand their children, and it's like, it's the same assumption thing. Oh, I raised you and I gave birth to you, but you still don't know me that well.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
Or even sometimes if they are trying to understand, they just can't. There are things that you just cannot understand unless you have lived that experience. Our parents grew up not only in a different time, but in a different country, on a different continent, like
different states, different everything.
It's again one of those things where you either have to sit down and take the time to really explain it to them and still have to deal with the fact that they might not understand.
Yeah.
Or be able to compartmentalize.
Be able to accept that without having to understand.
Yeah. Like, there are things that I'm super lucky where my parents are definitely the type where they're like, my kids are growing up in America. They're not growing up in Pakistan in the 80s, in the 90s. Like, their life, their experience, their struggles are going to be 180 degrees different from ours. And bless their hearts, they tried their absolute best, and they still do, to understand every experience that I and my brothers go through. But there are things that they just can't understand or they can't empathize with, because it's not something that, they were worried about at the time, because, they're moving countries and, like, supporting, like, 8-9 people families. Like, it's a different experience. It's a different life. But being able to have that conversation, or like being able to sit down and understand that I can listen to my parents and listen to their experience and their wisdom and put it in a box and use it when I need it. But maybe that moment isn't right now. You know?
Yeah. There's always that, like, whenever I first came to Sudan, I was around 7 years old, and I liked it because, 7-year-olds on a plane, that is the life.
Yeah.
But whenever I came back, it was like, oh, okay. And my parents pushed me to do all these things, and I'm like, I don't remember school being like this. I don't remember, because I've only moved, twice.
Uh-huh.
But for other people like Hope, I haven't moved that much.
Yeah.
How was that?
I was pretty okay with it, you know. I think my family has been, number one my whole life. So as long as I was with them, I was going to be okay. Like, my mom is my foundation. Like, she's my rock, you know. So as long as I was with my mom and I was with my kid sibling, I knew to some degree I'd be okay and that I'd survive, you know. And honestly, I was glad to be out of Nevada. I'm not going to lie to you.
Bro, what is in Nevada for, a kid?
3.5 people and, maybe a cat or two.
Oh, my God.
I'm so glad to be out of there. No hate to people who, live in Nevada and have been there and, vacation to Las Vegas. It is not my cup of tea. Not my cup of dry desert cactus tea, you know?
If there's any advice I can give you, never go to Nevada or never go to Las Vegas with your grandfather.
Oh,
They
God.
made that mistake.
Yeah.
God help us all. That was an awkward trip.
Good luck with that.
God. Oh, God. I passed by Las Vegas and I just kind of side-eye it, you know? It's not my favorite city and I'm like, ugh, Las Vegas. I don't associate with her. No, thank you, you know?
The atrociousness.
Yeah, it's just this patch of green and, Death Valley, you know?
I remember Las Vegas, the first time my family went to Las Vegas, it was great. It was a wonderfully family-friendly place, surprisingly.
Yeah.
And then we were the year after that, we were like, oh my God, let's go again. It was so much fun. In 1 year, Vegas went from, oh my God, family attractions to boobs.
Yeah,
just everywhere.
Yeah.
Gambling
And
casinos.
nudity and just all the drunk peoples.
Get married in one day and gone, you know? It's fast gratification in that city.
Yeah,
It's
my
insane.
brothers have fully announced that we are never, ever, ever to go to Las Vegas again. They hated it. They were just absolutely not. No more.
You get caught up in that noise and it's oh my God. I'm not even have you guys seen Percy Jackson and
Yes.
the first, and it's they go into that the Lotus or something.
It's
exactly like that.
it is exactly like that. And I'm going to make a controversial opinion here. I loved the Percy Jackson movies. I have not read the books.
Yeah.
I have not read the books, okay, but I loved the movies so much.
Yeah.
I still watch, even though Rick Riordan goes on Twitter and roasts the movies all the time. I think there was some teacher who tweeted Rick Riordan was like, oh my God, I'm showing my kids the Percy Jackson movies. And he was like, why?
Gotta stay humble.
They suck.
You gotta stay humble.
I'm a Harry Potter girly.
Me too.
I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
love Harry Potter. Harry Potter's great.
No, but I hate Percy though.
I know, it's okay.
No, I only
almost everybody does. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Percy's okay. I like what's it called? Not sci-fi. The fantasy world. I really like it, but
I think it's a good escape to have when you're young and you're going through the experiences that we were going through.
yeah.
Oh, for sure. Books, movies, TV shows. It was a great escape to be yeah.
Star Wars
I
my
can,
number one.
I can live in this world for a little
Exactly.
while.
It's beautiful. I remember I talked to y'all before and I said, reading ink on dead trees it's just so fun.
It is.
And it sounds so weird, but it's really cool how our brains just read stuff and we just put pictures and faces and features to it. It's really cool. But I know that everybody has different genres that they have. I really like sci-fi, and a little fantasy, but mostly sci-fi.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things where it's easy to get lost in. But, you know, as we grow up and as we try and get more comfortable with our own realities while holding on to the comfort of the alter ego realities that we submerged ourselves in childhood, hopefully we can find the confidence to be able to go about our lives the way that our favorite characters went about theirs.
Right.
But I am so, so glad that you guys came on this episode of The First Draft with me. How was it? Did you enjoy your experience?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Awesome.
Beautifully orchestrated.
I just hope the microphone didn't pick up any, like,
You're
bodily noises,
you're
like
good.
my stomach gurgling.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But you know what? Thank you so much. I so enjoyed having you guys on, and I hope all of you listening enjoyed it as well. We are so excited to be back doing The First Draft and the Collegian for this semester. Thank you so much for listening, and tune in next week for episode 2.
Please do.
Yeah.
Once again, my name is Rabia Molai. This has been episode 1 for the spring semester of The First Draft. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Woo.